the nuke option. So anything goes. I just hope that this happens because there's so many cases. It's about getting back to work and really about the country's business. There's just so many pressing issues right now. Like one we're going to talk about, North Korea again. They've been in the news. And right now there's the fear that this unhinged leader, Kim Jong-un, might come undone and might become very desperate. And a lot of people are saying that he is acting desperate and might strike the United States, or at least try, with a nuclear weapon. I mean, if that doesn't scare you, he's threatening. He's saying that he's going to do these things. Is it just rhetoric? There's a defector, Tae Yong-ho, the most senior North Korean defector in 20 years, told NBC News that Kim Jong-un is desperate in maintaining his rule by relying on his development of nuke weapons, as he puts them. And once he sees that there's any kind of sign of tank or an imminent threat for America, then he would use his nuclear weapons with ICBMs with nukes attached to them. Those who have survived as North Korea's deputy ambassador to the United Kingdom, and he was not directly involved in the dictatorship weapons program. So he says that North Korea is now fully equipped with nuclear capabilities. And Kim Jong-un announced after a submarine-launched missile in August. So watching this very, very closely as a developed story out there, the whole Pacific Basin out there, all Asia. I mean, it's just all these neighbors are just wondering what the heck this guy's going to do. But he certainly has the attention of many. And right now, more of a threat right now, immediately, than Iran. Oh, did he hear about the Soviets? Oh, excuse me, the Russians. I shouldn't say that. Soviets. The old Soviet Union's gone. They have these wicked intercontinental, like Mach 10, if you will. They can go like 250 miles, 300 miles within like 15, 20 seconds. Just ridiculous. And they're going to be building these things. I mean, they can reach the U.S. just like that. Crazy. There's a lot of money going into those. But they're posturing, positioning themselves. There's good reason why. Of course, we're in Iraq, probably going to be in Iraq and stay there, knowing the positioning with Russia, with their base over in Syria. No doubt why we're back over there, because we need something, because we don't have a lot of places we can go. And with Russia pulling their weight around, it's no telling how the future is going to be. But America used to lead, and we're starting to do that again, but we had 8 years without a leader. I mean, think about it, folks, 8 years without a leader. With somebody that was supposed to resemble a leader, said that he would be a leader, but he didn't. He failed us. One of the most dismal failures in the American presidency, Barack Hussein Obama. And just to think, he's got this so-called, and he's admitted to this, so-called shadow government in Washington, D.C. on Embassy Row. A guy that didn't have much money, being a dismal law professor and a terrible missing in action senator from Illinois. The guy's got tens of millions of dollars now, and buddies trying to fight conservatives to take the heart of America and push us further down into the toilet and subscribe to more of the thinking, the prowess of Saul Alinsky, and for the progressives that follow. But maybe he's probably trying to form something like the Church of Scientology and maybe use brainwashing techniques, because that's what they've done to a lot of the libs. They have the marching orders. They have no idea why they're doing it. They're storing our country, and they just don't know. Maybe that's what they do. They put some drugs or something like that, and they touch it, it just goes into their bodies. I don't know. That sounds like a conspiracy theory, though, doesn't it? So I said I don't. We don't say wacky things here. I'm just saying, it's sometimes hard to explain though why people do these things. All right, so the big talk in politics is over this weekend with a golf game, and they say it's amazing what one can do with a golf game, and of all people, Senator Rand Paul. Yeah, the Kentucky Republican. And he was the one that coined Obamacare Light. Well, he's optimistic now. They say a deal of the Republican health care program and the plan is getting nearer to completion. Rand Paul tweeted on Sunday after playing golf with President Donald Trump to discuss this controversial legislation. He says, I had a great time today with Donald Trump and believe we are getting closer to an agreement on health care. See, people had a problem. Oh, he's playing too much golf. But man, if you can get a senator to play golf and feel good about health care, we're on to something. And maybe we are getting closer. And that's good news for the American people. So if it takes a golf game in Virginia or Mel Largo, wherever he needs to go, money well spent. Take more senators out for the golf game, even if they don't play golf. Maybe teach them a game of golf, but they'll have a good time. Paul has been a very fierce critic of the plan, slamming the proposal as Obamacare Light, and just can't believe he's managed to pass the bill and didn't pass the bill, and it was a waste of time, and we shouldn't even have gone to it because there were just so many things wrong with it because it just looked too much like Obamacare. That was his biggest thing. It just looked too close to what Obama did. He says if you're going to repeal and replace altogether, just rewrite the whole thing. But the problem is there was a few things actually in what Obama was doing, believe it or not. What do they say? A broken clock actually is good for something just once a day. Well, Obama had that to his credit. One of the biggest ones was if you had a kid at home that was going to college, and this was a good thing, they could stay on the policy up until they're like 25 years old. That was a good thing. So why would you scrap that? That wouldn't make any sense, would it? Some of the language was okay. Some of the language was good. It would be nice if we'd actually get a copy and be able to read this line by line like they can. But we're going to have to take their word for it. And I guess that's where your senator comes in. And that's where you, if you're concerned, make sure that your senator's onto it, that they understand it. That it actually is a good plan that actually works for all of you. And if you're at least concerned for your premiums, if you like to pay higher premiums, if you have all the money in the world and you're Mr. Moneybags or Mrs. Moneybags, you don't mind throwing money out, then fine. Don't even worry about it. But if it concerns you, call your senator. That's how things get done. They record the calls. They write the calls down. Even the senator's not going to answer. He's busy, but they take messages. They read those messages. It's important because they know that those messages ultimately end up to re-election. Ultimately end up when they actually are called up and somebody else is running against them, they want to be back in power. They're going to pay attention. If enough of those calls come in, believe me, it matters. So do something about it. All right, so Trump, he loves to tweet all the time, and he's going to continue doing this, not thinking that he's ever going to change. Trump says, I am who I am. I'll just not forget to take him at his word, though. He did say that, I was going to look so presidential that you'd just be so bored. It'd be so boring. Trump is definitely not boring. The media certainly can't call him that. I think they love the tweets. But what is he tweeting about right now? It's surveillance and that controversy. And Trump tweeted twice within 5 minutes. He's first about the Clinton campaign being given questions prior to primary debates and town halls, and then about Clinton campaign chairman John Podesta's brother, Tony Podesta, failing to register as a foreign agent when representing a major Russian bank. Was the brother of John Podesta paid big money to get the sanctions on Russia lifted? Did Hillary know? Trump tweeted, and was the brother of John, there it is. He says the same thing over here. Was the brother of John Podesta paid big money to get the sanctions on Russia tight? Did Hillary know? These are the tweets that have come out. These are the messages amid increasing Democratic claims about a alleged connection between Trump's campaign, how he was running things, and Russian officials. There's a pair of congressional investigations probing Russia's meddling in the election. So Trump started the message storm by praising Fox News, reporting on Obama administration officials' alleged efforts to unmask Trump's official caught up in the incidental surveillance and widely disseminated information. The Obama intelligence official who did the unmasking was very well known, very high up, and very senior in the intelligence world. A source of Fox News, Adam Housley, Melina Zimmerman, said on Friday, and such amazingly reported on unmasking the crooked schemes spied on before nomination. The real story, Trump tweeted. So it's, look, he's got hundreds of millions of people that follow him between all the social media that he has. And so the fight with the mainstream media is going to be a constant thing. He can reach people faster, and he can say exactly what's on his mind. And I am almost certain that things, I'm not there at the White House, by the way. Just wanted to let you know. I host the program, believe it or not, in Tampa, Florida. So, I do get some privy information here and there from different news sources. But I would imagine that his tweets, get censored by somebody. His daughter, Kushner, somebody. Kushner's in Iraq, by the way, so maybe he calls him before he tweets. Somebody. I just can't imagine him just always says, I refuse to go through any censorship from anybody in my cabinet. I just don't think so. I think he probably talks about it. What do you think? There's got to be some talking. I mean, don't you think? But everybody's talking about it. So that's the narrative. And, that's not a bad thing. Mission accomplished. It's amazing through social media what one can do. The power of social media. And I've seen it with this broadcast on how people communicate over Facebook. People share. The numbers go. Because how many people does one person know? Well, they say as you get older, you don't know as many people as you did. But somebody knows somebody that knows somebody. So my point is, if you like the show, share the show on your social media because you have friends, you have family that follow you. And so if they know that you're listening to the show, why don't you give the URL address, forthepeopleshow.com. Just type it in. Listen to the show that I listen to. You might like it. Don't assume that they might like it, but they say you might like it. I like it. And chances are, if they're your friends, they're going to probably like it, unless you guys don't talk about politics and these things. Some of you don't. You're, shh, I'm not one of them. But if they're your real friends, they kind of know where you stand. Do you have any leftist friends? Well, we don't talk about politics all the time, but they will ask me certain things, and they'll poke fun at me, and I'll poke fun at them. But if they're really honest, they'll be honest with me back, and there's no lying. Because there's mudslinging on both sides. But the point is here, this is not election time. We're not voting for a president. We're talking about Donald Trump, who is president. And now who the left has made it a mission with the LA Times, the Washington Post today, saying that this guy is a bigot, saying that he's an inclusionist, he's the LGBTQ, and all these things they're putting in the newspaper, still badgering him as if he's actually running for president. And way worse than anything you've ever read about. Most modern presidents that were in the White House, they were even nicer, the left, nicer to Ronald Reagan. And they hated Ronald Reagan. I really hope the narrative changes, because it did change for Ronald Reagan. Because his numbers were pretty bad. They went up, and now Democrats, a lot of them, most of them, Reverend Ronald Reagan. Now, Donald Trump is not a Ronald Reagan, but the media has changed so much in the last several decades. It's not even believed.